It was about right.
It was a long discussion,
Ready to get back. We never had that.
but we said no. And we actually got by on a legal aspect, the fact that
Not necessarily that.
if somebody had been living there all along, it would qualify for water and sewer. But it's been empty for 10 years. And after 1 year, you lose that, you lose that grandfathered in thing.
Here, she's just buying at the shops.
Let's get this show going.
We're gonna have to have these meetings at 4:45.
I know what you meant. But no.
Might as well change them again.
That's right. I'm a little disappointed in you.
Go ahead.
Why are you giving out bags of kettle corn? I didn't get one. When?
Did you forget the deal, or?
Yeah. Jeez.
Thanks.
A new one, the golf committee meeting.
Apparently. Okay, should we start? Maybe.
August 27th is our next golf committee meeting.
All right, ready? All right, we will go ahead and call the Becker City Council meeting of July 30th to order. If you'll rise for the flag, please.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Has council had an opportunity to review the meeting minutes from July 16th? If so, I'll ask for a motion to approve.
That was not here.
Would anyone like to make a motion to approve them?
Make a motion to approve the minutes.
I'll second them. Motion from Troy, second from Becky. Any discussion on them? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Carried. Two abstains, Susan, for not being here. All right. Any additional items for this evening's agenda? Hearing none, I'll ask for a motion to approve the agenda.
Move we approve the agenda as presented.
Second it.
Motion from Mike, second from Troy. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Carried. Guests and open forum. This evening, the Veterans Memorial Project, Roger Bigulke, has asked to present. Do you want to say anything first?
Council, Mayor, Mr. Brzezinski, audience. It's been a long time coming. Many people started it and let it fizzle out. We had a very, very strong group of men that said this is going to happen this time. They got their back up and it's going to be done. And we have two of our monument men in the audience. Gentlemen want to stand up? There's four altogether. One of them went down to Florida. Couldn't talk him into staying. I don't know.
I wonder why.
No. Without that, we would like to do the groundbreaking tonight and then get a date to get this going. It's going to be a beautiful thing. Thank you.
That's great.
Thank you for your indulgence and your help and your patience. Couldn't have happened without y'all. Thank you.
Couldn't have happened without you.
Thank you, guys.
All right, so we will take a photo outside real quick, and then we'll come back to the dais to finish our meeting.
We're gonna do it now?
Yep.
ready for his,
I got like no pain until somebody kicks me in the knee.
So do you want to do the segue or not?
Yes, I do want to. They said you gotta come 15 minutes early to practice.
you better come a half hour, because you know, you have to say it twice.
Michael, how you pay attention? I'll wear my hearing aids for that. You see what you want to see and you hear what you want to hear.
Let's see. Cleaning the shelves.
Somebody like,
But
we're cleaning the shovel. Only kidding.
Oh my God, I'm like, for real?
yeah, those are for we got those brand new for Northland Metal. We actually threw dirt with those.
That's what I just said, and she goes, sure.
Well, they don't want to dig up the grass.
Stretch man's like, let me dig the hole.
There might be electric wires down there or something. But over at the Northern Metal one, excavators put a great big dirt down for us to dig into.
But we didn't really dig a hole. All right, we will go on to committee reports. So golf committee.
Golf Committee, we met on the 25th, and we went over the forecasts and the mid-season report, and how the revenue is doing versus last year, and numbers are all looking really good. They've tried some new stuff. It's working out pretty good. Numbers are up. It's good, period. And Josh is looking into a different golf cart fleet. We're going to consider some other possibilities there. And we went over some events that we just had, the Minnesota Limited Golf Outing, which was it's a big one. And I happened to hear from the president himself, and he was absolutely ecstatic as to how well it went. And he was very, very happy with it. And the concert on the creek, I was not there, so I cannot respond to that. But I'm guessing that went out pretty good, too.
It was a very good turnout.
And other than that, that's pretty much it. We'll be talking about budget tonight.
And my apologies, we skipped right back into our committee reports versus allowing any other guests in open forum. Is there anybody else for guests in open forum this evening? All right, welcome. Come on up to the podium. I'm very sorry that I overlooked you.
I'm Gertrude Sockery. I live at 12150 Hillcrest Court. And I'm on the cemetery board. And the city deeded us some land, and the people are driving across it. And we put up no trespassing signs and everything, but
I
they're
saw,
still doing it.
I saw a motorhome parked down there for a couple weeks.
No, that's on the
That wasn't
road.
on, oh, okay.
All right. Can we go ahead and have a staff member review it and follow up with you? Would that work okay? Obviously, we won't be able to solve it tonight, but we definitely will get to the bottom of it. Will that?
Yeah, but we've been here, reported it, and it still goes on.
I brought it to the police attention in the past because she's contacted me.
Okay.
And I thought that it was pretty much taken care of. I didn't realize they were still doing it.
We even made no trespassing sign, and they still drive through it. And we don't want to put up a fence.
Our police chief is taking notes right now, so.
That's good.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. To get. Okay. Gertie, will that be okay? Phil or Brent or both, and with Chris's help?
I guess you got to go out there when they're having something in the complex to get the people that are doing it.
Yeah, maybe you can discuss if it's repeat offenders, what it might be. It sounds like it's.
All right,
Is that all right, Gertie?
Sure.
They'll call you.
all right.
If not, come talk to us again. Okay. So, thank you, Golf Committee. Joint planning, we only had one issue, which was a denial of an interim use permit for the township area. Planning Commission.
Planning Commission, we have 3 items on our agenda tonight that Planning Commission all had on their agenda for last night. We also have a public hearing coming up at our next Planning Commission meeting in the end of August, which relate to updates to chapters 4, 5, and 11 in our code book. So.
Moving along. Any other committees that we missed? No? All right. Board committee and consultant reports. Sherburne County's Tobacco 21 ordinance. Chief, are you introducing our?
Well, Mayor and Council, real quick, the city has been approached by Sherburne County Public Health and the County Attorney's Office requesting support for the proposed Tobacco 21 ordinance. Real quick again, the ordinance would raise the legal age within Sherburne County for the purchase of tobacco products up to 21 years of age. Currently, over 40 counties in Minnesota have already raised the age to 21, with Benton County already approving the ordinance, and Stearns and Wright counties already are currently in the process as well. As we know, tobacco use by kids under the legal age has gone up, and one way to hopefully combat the number of kids that are coming into possession of tobacco products, which of course includes vaping now as well and all the other related accessories to that. In the schools, and we're seeing an ever increasing number of kids vaping using tobacco products. So you were also provided with an information sheet from Sherburne County relative to some of the information. So tonight, Amanda Larson's here to kind of further discuss what the county is proposing and why. And I've also included a possible resolution to consider if you are willing to support the Tobacco 21 ordinance. So I will introduce Amanda and let her do all the speaking here.
Thank you, Chief. Good evening, Council. Yeah, as Chief said, my name is Amanda Larson. I work for Sherburne County Health and Human Services. Usually I would have Kathy Caney up here, but she's on her first 2-week vacation in several years. So I'm just going to say I'd love to talk to you about Tobacco 21, the philosophy and the health impacts. But if you ask me any specific questions on the ordinance, I may or may not be able to answer those. Tobacco 21, sorry, I'll go back. Tobacco 21 is the initiative to raise the procurement age from 18 to 21. Procurement meaning sale or possession of tobacco products. The county ordinance, some jurisdictions only have sale, thereby penalizing retailers, but we really, in Sherburne County, wanted to include possession, use, or purchase as to encompass the schools as well as just our community. I also want to be clear that even though we're talking Tobacco 21, and that's the name of the initiative, that tobacco products include e-cigarettes, nicotine, vaping interchangeably. So just wanted to let you know that. As Chief said, and I think you have this on your sheet, that it's actually 40 Minnesota cities and or counties have raised the tobacco age to 21. This movement, the Tobacco 21, started in Edina in 2015, and at that time, I know watching the news, that was a very urban, progressive thing to do. It would never happen here. Of course, Edina did it. But in March, we had a meeting where local public health came together with commissioners, and Minnesota Department of Health, and Otter Tail County was the first county to move toward this Tobacco 21, and it ultimately passed. Now, less than 6 months later, again, 40 Minnesota cities and counties have passed Tobacco 21, most recently Benton and Wilkin counties. So the initiative is really growing, and I was at the March meeting with local public health and Minnesota Department of Health, and that was really the correlation between Tobacco 21 and vaping and e-cigs and the movement in schools, and really that it's reached epidemic proportions. I'm not sure if you've heard, but schools are closing down bathrooms, they're rotating bathrooms. School resource officers are the bathroom police by their very own fruition, and so really schools have come, law enforcement has come and really saying, what can we do about this? How can we get a handle on this? Just found this slide interesting. We all know how harmful tobacco is. It's easy for us to relate to, but a lot of us don't really understand e-cigs. Not only do e-cigs carry a lot of different chemicals, most notably THC, so kids are smoking THC, marijuana products in those e-cigs. And sometimes we don't even know what's in those e-cig pods. It could also be viewed as a step-down product, but really the nicotine levels in those e-cig pods can range one pod anywhere equivalent from 40 to 90 cigarettes. So really e-cigs, while we don't know all the chemicals in there, really they're doing a lot more harm than good. And I know from just talking with our schools, e-cigs are not just those kids doing it. I mean, it's the honor roll kids, it's the neighborhood kids, it's the kids on the sports teams. And so really, e-cigs have become a huge problem in our schools. I know, again, just being from Greater Minnesota, living in Greater Minnesota, a lot of people talk about government regulation and equating Tobacco 21 to government regulation, and just wanted to come here and speak to that, that the initiative on Tobacco 21 really isn't about a battle on personal liberties or government regulation. It really is about keeping our young people safe. It really is about helping the schools solve this epidemic. It really is about keeping nicotine products, tobacco products out of the schools. 95% of adult smokers started before age 21, and 82% report getting tobacco products from their friends. So, you know, a lot of times in tobacco regulation, we talk about retail supply and social supply, and increasing the tobacco age to 21 helps us ward off the social supply, because many 16 and 17-year-olds aren't hanging around 21-year-olds yet. You know, usually seniors in high school are 18. So, you know, this has really been gaining momentum across the state. In 2017, there's a lot of different surveys out there. There's a youth tobacco survey and a adult community health survey, and then I think most notably, most people are familiar with the Minnesota Student Survey that's done every 3 years. In 2017, youth tobacco rose for the first time in 17 years. The Sheriff's Office partnered with Public Health, and I just wrote a drug-free community grant. And just looking at some of that research, that Sherburne County, and this is in 2017, Sherburne County is 10 percentage points higher than the state average on e-cigarette use. And 2017 was a lifetime ago, it seems like. And undoubtedly, Becker, per se, hasn't gotten their results yet from the Minnesota Student Survey, and we haven't gotten county-specific results, but we know that e-cig use has just increased exponentially even from 2016, 2017. Again, as I said before, this isn't really an urban progressive issue anymore. Really, most adults support the initiative, as well as 70% of smokers. I don't know if you know any smokers in your life. I know my sister's a smoker, and she sure wishes she wasn't a smoker. But once you're hooked, you're hooked. And so there really is broad-based support on this Tobacco 21, and just seeing it even in the last 6 months, county after county, city after city, passing these initiatives. So really, why Tobacco 21? It's about health. It's about health of our kids. Research predicts that T21 localities will see a 25% reduction in smoking initiation between 15 and 17-year-olds. And again, if you remember what I just said, 2017 showed the first time that tobacco is on the rise in almost 2 decades. So just a few of the benefits of Tobacco 21, but really our main catalyst on this is focus on keeping tobacco out of the schools. And again, here it says that 75% of 15 to 17-year-olds get tobacco products from their peers. Here's the slide where Kathy would take that. I'm not going to tell you because it's our local Sherburne County ordinance is 6 pages, and I've kind of summarized it into 4 bullet points. So just so you know, it is a misdemeanor to sell or offer any tobacco or tobacco products to persons under the age of 21. It's a violation for minors under 18 to possess tobacco or tobacco products. And then also to use tobacco or tobacco products under 18. And the proposed Sherburne County ordinance will apply to unincorporated areas of the county. There's 2 ways two, and I'm a little out of my wheelhouse, so bear with me. There's two ways to enforce a tobacco 21 ordinance. One is using the Public Health Authority under statute 145A, and that would be the county saying, yep, we're going to do this, we're going to use this state statute, and then that would be encompass the cities and the county. And then there's also the retail tobacco ordinance. And Kathy's office, our county attorney, has chosen to go under the retail tobacco ordinance. One, because we don't want the county doing this to the cities. We want to partner and walk hand in hand with the cities to do this as a movement within our jurisdiction. And also Kathy's office was concerned with the enforceability statute under 145A. And so Sherburne County, we had our county attorney's office also take a look at the Sherburne County ordinance, the proposed Sherburne County ordinance to Tobacco 21, as well as all the cities within Sherburne County. And really, they're all pretty much the same, and I'm pretty sure that was done intentionally. And so the only change that we're making to the ordinance is to move the age from 18 to 21. We're not making any other changes to the Sherburne County tobacco retail ordinance. This ordinance was recently redone in 2017, so really we don't feel the need to do that. And again, the Becker ordinance mirrors the Sherburne County ordinance as it stands now. And again, why is this? When I had heard about this at that meeting in March, I was like, yep, we'll do a Sherburne County board workshop. We'll just let our commissioners decide. And since that time, I have had commissioners, schools, law enforcement coming saying we need to do this here, we need to do this now. Actually, at that March local public health and Minnesota Department of Health meeting, Benton County stood up and they said, we're doing this. We're going to be the first, and we want this to be a 3-county initiative, and Stearns had echoed that. And so really, the movement really is in the central Minnesota region. Hennepin County actually just passed their T21 ordinance on July 9th. Benton County unanimously passed their T21 ordinance on July 16th. Wright County has decided that they will be going to vote on this, and so they'll be going for public comment and board vote on September 17th. Stearns County is in discussion. They haven't had a board hasn't decided to go to vote yet, but they will be using that public health authority. So if Stearns County goes T21, it will be the entire county and using that authority. So the cities will be going as well, whereas the other counties are using that retail ordinance under the tobacco. And then law enforcement and schools in Sherburne County are also in support of this. And so I know our sheriff has already signed a letter of support for this T21 ordinance and asked Chief Bloom to do the same. And so we will be, Sherburne County Commissioners will be doing a board workshop on August 20th to decide if they want to move this forward to vote. And if that's the case, then they would be bringing this to vote in the fall. And then it would be the public comment time as well as that. And since we are bringing this to a board workshop on August 20th, we have notified the local retailers that the county issues their losing rights that we retail. And so they've already been notified that the board will be discussing this on August 20th. And so that's all I have for you. As Chief mentioned, there is a resolution of support that we're asking you to consider. As our county attorney has requested, we really want to be doing this with the cities. There's been times very recently where we've had a curfew ordinance. The county has had a curfew ordinance, and then the cities have had different ordinances. So depending on which side of the street you're on, there's a whole other set of rules for you. Most recently, we just passed a social host ordinance, and so the county had a social host ordinance for adults providing alcohol to those 21 and younger. And then the cities had different ordinances, and now we all have the same ordinance, and so we really want to come out in front of this. And so the Tobacco 21 ordinance, we want to do this together with the cities, especially because the problem is in our schools, and that's really where the focus is, knowing that if the county moves forward and passes a T21 ordinance, that won't apply to the schools, and that's really where we're seeing the problem. So with that, I take any questions or comments.
I got a couple questions. So the county ordinance, are you considering this would just be for the sale, or is this going to be for the possession of as well?
It'd be for the possession and the use as
So
well.
if somebody comes through our county and gets stopped, they could get a ticket for possessing tobacco if they live in another county.
So,
Yeah.
this is where I really wish Kathy or somebody from the county attorney's office. Kathy's office wants this to mirror closely to state law. So, public health doesn't like the idea of penalizing young people. And so really, public health, like Minnesota Department of Health, doesn't like the idea of if you're a 19-year-old has an e-cig on there, penalizing them. The Community Corrections has just kind of redone their tobacco policy. So if somebody is cited, right now under 18, if somebody has a citation for tobacco, they go through like an education and diversion process. Right now, Kathy explained to me that this would mirror Minnesota state law. So like if a 19-year-old was on the street and they had an e-cig, it doesn't, state law doesn't have the possession and use piece of it. So they, I'm gonna screw this up. It's really, I don't know, shoot, I'm sorry. It wouldn't penalize the 19-year-old on the street, but it would penalize the sale of it.
Couldn't buy it, but he can have it if he's.
Yeah, yeah.
So
The-
so that gets them by, if they live in,
Right now, Wright County, they live in Monticello. They drive over here.
oh, Wright County, yeah. Well, no, then Wright County has already passed it, right?
No, they
County.
will.
Okay, let's say Wright County
'cause
hasn't.
It's going to vote September
They have,
17th.
let's say Sherburne County does pass this. If they come from Wright County, they're not gonna get a citation. Is that what you're saying? I'm hoping?
Yeah, and again, like Benton County only has the sale, not the possession or use piece in it, but right, this is where it gets a little confusing because it's that whole, we call it PUP provision, the possession, purchase, use, possession, of it. And so, we really want, kids, our community wants like the 19-year-old or the 18-year-old in the schools. The schools wanted the teeth in it so that it could be funneled through. So like if I'm in Benton County and I don't have those PUP provisions, it's only penalizing the retailers and not diverting the youth through the system, if that makes sense.
In other words, they police the retailers rather than the kids.
Yeah, and so we really want the kids to be held accountable for their actions and go through the juvenile probation process because our probation has, we want them to get the education rather than just get off scot-free, rather than just penalizing the retailers. So really the retailers, I think our ordinance says it's like a $275 fee if they're found selling to under 21, but then if the under 21-year-old minor gets caught with an e-cig, we want to cite them and funnel them through our probation, so it's not necessarily a fee, but they're paying $60 to get an education class, so they know what's in those e-cigs.
Well, the concern I have is, and I don't smoke, I used to, but I don't. Let's say somebody from, let's say Wright County right now. Guy graduated this year, he works construction, he gets a job working on a construction job over here in Becker, and he gets caught with cigarettes, where it's perfectly legal for him. He's 18 years old, he can be in the military, he can do anything he wants, and now we're telling him he can't smoke. And I understand the reason for it,
Yeah.
but I have issues dictating what people can and can't do when they're of age.
We're really also trying, we're really trying to, I mean, if Kathy was here, she'd say herself that she's a former smoker, you know, for several years. We really don't want to over-regulate, and we really don't want this to be a government regulation. And quite frankly, you know, living in Sherburne County, being from Sherburne County, I didn't think this would hold any weight with Sherburne County, with our sheriff, our county attorney, our commissioners. And the movement has really been because it's in our schools, and they really talk about smart regulation and not over-regulation. So really diverting those school resource officers and police to solving real crime and not being that bathroom police or the e-cigarette police. And it's also, I heard a Stearns County commissioner say, and quite frankly, it probably is going to pass statewide or whatever that looks like. And it's something that, we don't really want the state doing to us, and we really have this opportunity to shape it how fits best in our community versus the state kind of dictating what it's going to look like. I understand,
Where's the evidence that changing this to 21 is going to keep it out of the schools? I don't see where that is.
Yeah, and knowing that there's a social supply chain and kind of a retail supply chain, and I can get a citation for you, but research predicts that there's actually a 25% reduction in smoking
I saw
initiation.
that. That's what
Yeah.
I don't see how do you determine that you're going to have a 25% reduction by changing this?
And I don't know if we will, but I know that nationally, there's been 9 states that have gone T21 statewide.
The whole state. That's a
Yep.
different story now.
Yep, and over 400 jurisdictions, localities that have gone T21. And so this is the research that is showing that in those communities that have kind of gone ahead of us.
Well, I would echo Mike's sentiment. I don't question the motive of like yourself and folks that would be in favor of this. Your motive truly is good. I don't
Yes.
encourage anybody
Yeah,
to smoke. I would be abhorred if my children smoked. Myself, I'm a former smoker as well. We're in a different role here, though. We're playing the role of government, and although I don't think anybody has the intention of let's limit somebody's civil liberties, it's what it is. Just like Mike said, I mean, a person is 18 years old. We give them the right to, carry a gun and represent us defending our country. There is, I know in more recent years we've moved closer to, as government has been more involved with healthcare, that is brought along a lot of the push of why we say through public health we can go down this route. At the end of the day, if you are an adult, there's not a law. It's okay to be stupid. I mean, that is a right we have as freedom. I guess I would echo the question too about the 25% and how we prove that, but I feel it's an overstep of our of what we're supposed to be doing. I don't encourage anybody to do it, but I feel it's an overstep. The people who are going to primarily pay are going to be the retailers. Today, as it sits right now, with the legal age being 18, that's a small percentage of the high school. I mean, it's a percentage. It's a double-digit percentage, but it's still a minority, definitely, in the high school that are legally allowed to possess it, and they can't even have it at the high school anyway. That's where it sits right now if we do nothing. I don't think we're going to see, even if we go down the results path and say, well, we're going to see the results, and that's the reason we should set civil liberties aside and do that. I don't think we're going to see that anyway. I just forgot my question. I'll
Can I
come back.
jump in, Amanda?
Yes.
Amanda, how does it, I know that you're probably presenting to all the other cities within our county as well, or somebody from your office is. What will be the reception if you don't receive support for the resolution from Becker, knowing that it's more of a policy per se for us and not a personal feeling against the resolution? How will that be perceived down at the county?
Well, and again, we want to walk hand in hand with the cities. I mean, ultimately, we're looking to all pass similar ordinances, so it's not, and so it can encompass our schools. I think I know the vote on the county side, but again, we really want to come in this together. You're my first city without Kathy. So again, I apologize for fumbling a little on the legalese and on what the ordinance actually entails. And so I am presenting to Elk River as well as Big Lake. Clear Lake is bringing it to their board, and then Zimmerman will be passing a resolution to support August 5th. And so I don't know if it's perception per se, more than we really want to do move this forward versus, you know, city by city, county, and whatnot. And again, I do want to reiterate that Community Corrections just revised their tobacco policy, so it's not a fine. We're not saying, okay, you're 18 or 19 and we're giving you a $100 fine. It's really, here's the path, and it's a $60 diversion class, so then it's like a 4 to 5 hour, you know,
Right.
here's what's in your.
But now, is that this young person that comes from out of town, goes to work here and gets caught, does he have to go through this thing too?
Yeah.
I don't believe so.
Yeah,
There's
he's in our- 'cause
something.
it'd be a ticket. He'd be in our county.
There's
Yeah.
something, but again, it's not, Chief Sharf isn't gonna, or, I'm
Actually-
sorry, Chief Malone isn't gonna patrol the streets looking for, I mean, it is, but it's, where are you gonna pick the kids up, you know, the 20-year-olds up, and, it's gonna be in the, it's in the schools, you know, I mean, you're not gonna pull over.
Maybe the chief could shed some light
Yeah.
on this.
Well, from an enforcement piece, you know, I will say this, you know, she is right. Are we gonna be out there actively looking for this?
I hope not.
Yes and no. I mean, you do the best you can when you see it, you deal with it. Oftentimes what happens is it falls in our lap. We're dealing with other things, and now we're left with, okay, it's right in front of us, we gotta deal with it. I will say, you know, from a school standpoint, that is the biggest push here. Not speaking on behalf of the schools, I do know that is a big issue here in Becker. And if there's one big issue that we hear about from parents, it is the lack of enforcement, us or otherwise, or perceived, I should say, related to tobacco enforcement on kids and how we deal with that. So the timing of this is interesting. This is one topic that was going to surface at some point by my office. They just happened to beat us to it. And I think it's something that we just have to have a discussion on at some point, just to see where we stand on it. I think we all realize, as Rick said, you look at the typical 18-year-old who's able to do whatever. My comeback sometimes to some of the retailers is, if you don't follow this, you're supporting it. You're supporting young kids by, we know what's going to happen when 18-year-olds buy tobacco. They're going to sell it to somebody younger, we know that. So I think, need to at least take that in consideration and acknowledge it.
But can't you
Yeah.
have some kind of a penalty system that penalizes this young person that illegally gives tobacco to a minor?
Absolutely.
To me, it would make more sense to go that route than to say you can't do it until you're 21.
Through our compliance checks, we've already got that kind of in place already. So if we are able to identify individual persons or businesses that do supply or sell, they are cited under typically our compliance process, and they are forced into one, civil court or civil process through you folks or through the court system. My understanding, part of this as well, those coming from, let's say, Wright County, is it a divertible process? Are they going to get a fine likely the first time? Is typically no. It is an educational piece, and I know Kathy was very strict on, we want to get the word out to those that violate this, because it may not be perceived as fair. I'm coming from wherever, and now I got dinged here in Sherburne County. So I know she was very, and I don't want to speak for Kathy either in her absence, but I know she was very big on talking about an educational piece here the first time. If it happens a second time, well, then there may be a more strict consequence as a result.
Yeah, I got a problem. Where I really have the problem is if they come from an area where it's not restricted, and then they get here and I have an issue with that.
And you'll have to, excuse me, I apologize for fumbling a little over on the
No, I understand
vernacular.
I understand.
Out of the 40 localities, 39 of them do not have the possession, use, purchase. Those are only penalizing the retailers who sell to 21. Our county, our schools, our school resource officers were really adamant that they feel like they wanted teeth for the kids
Okay.
to be compliant. And so that's where, wearing my public health hat, I'm a little kind of.
Okay, now I see where you're coming from.
Yeah.
That other one I can support, because now we're saying 21, fine, but.
Yeah. And that's why.
Yeah, obviously.
And I know
yeah.
Kathy said, because when I had questioned that too, it wasn't penalizing the 20-year-old on the street, because she said it's in accordance with, it mirrors more closely to state law, so maybe I do need to bring this back when Kathy's done on vacation.
I'm not so sure about that.
Can I ask a little bit about the process here? So,
Please.
so you said this refers to because it's the county, so it would be for unincorporated, meaning the
Yeah.
cities that have their own ordinance. It would kind of, we have a separate, although mirrored,
Yes.
we have, right
Yes.
now, it's a separate ordinance, so it is a possibility that, so you're looking for a letter of support for the county initiative, which actually wouldn't, wouldn't relate to Becker because we have our own.
Yeah. Long-term, ultimately, when the county goes for a vote on this, and if it's positive, we would want the cities to pass, to change your ordinance as well, so it's not 18 here and then it's 21 in the unincorporated, for the county. But right now, today, I'm looking for a resolution of support as we head into that board workshop to say that the cities are on board, again, knowing you need some more information on the intricacies that I'm not able to answer for you tonight. And so whether that's at the board workshop or, again, when our board goes to vote sometime this fall.
Do we need to have a resolution of support, or can it be a letter of support? I'm struggling with a resolution
Sure.
piece of this. Personally, personal beliefs over a city policy really, I'm struggling with for this.
I would go along with the letter of support.
But I do not want to send the message to the county that we are not in support. I don't want to send a no vote on a resolution to them. What?
I'm not in support.
But you're not in support, period, across the, okay.
I got issues, I mean, you probably got enough votes to pass it, but I'm with Rick, I'm not in favor of it.
I'm worried about the schools, that's all I'm thinking about this whole thing. It's just,
Yeah, no, see, and
when we go to school and if your kids were there,
Yeah.
you'd want this.
but here's the thing. Are we gonna
They're gonna get it
pass
if they want it
resolutions, thinking, I don't know if it's right to do that. It's like,
anyhow. I hear what you're saying, I'm just saying,
I mean,
if they're having problems with it every day, you think it's good that guy's gotta go watch the bathrooms? Or do we want him
no,
to
I
do
don't,
something else?
but I don't think it's up to us to dictate what,
Oh, I get you,
people
I know
do.
what you're saying, I like your idea, the letter, not doing a vote, it's just, instead
I
of
mean,
voting on it.
you're gonna get 3 votes, I'm sure you're gonna support it, more than likely. You haven't said anything negative
No,
about it, so
well,
I'm guessing you're gonna.
My issue is the school situation, because it's more.
And I
personal.
understand that, I understand it completely.
But I get the whole, like, the personal feeling versus the,
I would rather go after the people that are buying it and giving it to the younger kids, rather than passing a law that affects everybody that's over 18 and under 21. They did that with alcohol. First you couldn't drink till you were 21, then they made it 18, then they switched it back to 21. I don't even know how old it is now that you can be before you can drink. But is it 21? Okay. So, that goes back and forth. And once they pass an ordinance, it's going to be tested. And they're going to be saying they got the right to do it. They're already of legal age. They should be allowed to do it. Even though we know it's not good for you.
And this is a decision that the county would make, correct? And there's a whole process you had laid out on August 20th, there's a workshop, I mean,
Yes, there's a board workshop on August 20th, and the board will decide if they want to move it forward to the vote, and then if they do want to move it forward to the vote, there will be a public comment period, and retailers will be officially notified 30 days prior. Although retailers, like I said, have already been notified that the county will be discussing it on August 20th.
my fear is sending a no resolution to them,
Why?
that we don't want to support their efforts in this. I think it's just, it's a decision I feel that this is the county's decision, the county should make it, and my personal belief should not be here at the city level for this, and to support it or not to support it.
It's a good point, too.
Well, okay, don't send a no, but how about we do nothing? I mean, right now, the action is to send the support. If you don't send the support, I mean, we don't have to say no.
Sure.
But how about take no
Yeah.
action?
Yeah, we can just take no action, and then I'm fine with that.
I understand the concept, I really do.
Is that council's wishes to?
I'm good with that. Just-
to
Brent,
know?
you want to add one more thing before we make a
Well, I
rash
appreciate the discussion on it, and I know this is one of those topics that, yeah, it just could go either way. I might recommend maybe even a letter that just kind of illustrates the questions or comments that we may have, or concerns rather, to the board, you know, moving forward. So maybe that you could say
Yes.
something to the effect that there is a level of support, however, we do have these issues, and maybe outline what those issues or questions may be to the
I was
board.
actually going to
That
bring
way
that
they've
up.
got maybe a better understanding where Becker sits on this, and maybe where the city council stands on it before taking that leap, if you want to call it that. Just a thought.
And like I said, I'd love to be able to address your question specifically, because I know it's a question that I've raised to Kathy, and she gave me an explanation that I was able to understand. I'm just not able to.
Yeah. Well,
communicate
rather than penalizing 18 to 21-year-olds, I would rather see them somehow, some way of enforcing the laws that are already there for them providing the tobacco for the minors. I would rather see it, some kind of a, you know, some kind of a legal approach at that, rather than taking away basically rights of
And
others.
that really is the goal. I mean, the ordinance does.
And I understand
stand at
that's the goal, but I'd rather see that kind of approach rather than telling them, no, you can't buy this.
Okay, so what
So-
what is council's action?
I support the concept of it, I can't support this actual resolution.
I guess I don't want to see a resolution, I don't want to see a letter either. I'm okay, I'm perfectly fine, and I don't think it's the wish of council to send a letter or whatever against. I don't think that's, and I don't want to push that, but I don't want to send this resolution or a letter. I guess
We
I'd
have to
rather
let
take
them
no
know we're
action.
sitting.
Well,
we
we can
don't.
take no action.
No, we don't.
We can take no action.
Take no action. We were presented with a request to
If you want to send a
do
letter, I
a
mean,
action of support.
you probably got 3
Didn't take it.
votes to do it.
All right.
I'm not going to be mad if you vote different.
I'll make a
than what I-
motion to send a letter.
I'm gonna second that.
What does the letter say?
I think just
how
use the
Dr.
bullet points
Bloom
of what our
just-
questions
or
are.
Chief Bloom just said, you know, how we sit as council about it. You don't, I get what you're saying, Rick, and I understand that, but I want it out of the schools. So I think that we're using our staff over there for definitely the wrong reasons if this is a major problem in our school.
Do you feel this is the job of city council to do this?
No.
That this is within our
I
job?
don't feel that's our job either.
Do we feel maybe this is an overstep, an overreach of what we're put here to do?
That's why we're not voting on it. We're just saying that we'd like to hear what the next step is with Sherburne County dealing with it, and then we're gonna,
But we can do that without a letter. The letter is basically doing it's a support without a vote here tonight. That's,
Well, a letter would be telling them our concerns that differ from what they're
correct.
what
The
they're
letter tells them
presenting.
how we feel, doesn't it? If you don't give them anything, how are they gonna know how we feel? The letter doesn't say we're all in.
when the letter was brought up, it was brought up as support.
No,
Well, that was one example before we finished our discussion. It was, should we show just a letter of support? But I do like the idea that we show them what our discussion is about, where our concerns lie, and why they're not receiving a resolution of support.
If it's just a statement of different opinion, yeah, I'm fine with that.
Yeah, me too.
Okay, and that is your motion?
yes.
Okay. All right, so those in favor of a letter of discussion, say aye.
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 Opposed? Carried.
Council, thank you. I will reach out individually to each of you about that, just to make sure we're on the same page for comments.
Thank you.
Amanda, you did a great job, so don't let Kathleen say
Yeah.
that, just
Yeah.
because she sent you.
Yeah,
Sherburne County, I know what I'm up against.
you were just fine.
All right. Anything else on that? Otherwise, we'll move on. We're good to go? All right, rezoning and annexed property. Marie Flipson.
Thank you, Mayor and Council. So this past 2018, there was some new property that was annexed into the city. When it comes into the city, it does come in as the ag. And there is a request from Jetstream LLC and Xcel Energy to rezone the majority of that property to industrial power generation, with one small portion being public. We did host our public hearing last night. We only had one public comment. It was just a clarification on parcels being rezoned. Otherwise, they did recommend approval of the rezone tonight. So with that, I would ask for a motion and second to approve the ordinance and the ordinance summary for publication.
I'll make a motion to approve ordinance 213, second series, adding section 11.12, subdivision 8, rezoning property from agricultural to power generation, industrial, and public.
I'll second that.
Motion from Rick, second from Mike. Any discussion on that?
The one person that was here for comments was not opposed to this rezoning, actually was in favor of it for this particular project, so.
Just had some questions on some of the details of it.
Any other questions? Otherwise, those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, carried.
I'd like to make a motion to approve ordinance 213, second series, summary for publication purposes.
I'll second that.
Motion from Rick, second from Mike. Any discussion on that piece? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, carried. Thank you, Marie. Data center definition. Go ahead.
In partnership with that last request, staff has also reviewed the city code's definition of a data center, and we are proposing some minor edits to that definition. We also held the public hearing last night on this. There was no comment. We feel as staff this is pretty straightforward, so we're asking for a motion to approve ordinance 214, second series, and the summary for publication.
Make a motion to approve ordinance 214, second series, amending the definition of data center.
I'll second that.
Motion from Rick, second from Mike. Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, carried.
I'll make a motion to approve ordinance 214, second series, summary for publication purposes.
And I'll second that.
Motion from Rick, second from Mike. Any discussion? Hearing none, those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, carried. Thank you, Marie, on that one. Off to the next one. CUP for private well and septic system on PID 601293105.
Thank you. So the North Star Bank, so the current owner of that parcel, along with applicant Matt Westeen, have applied for a conditional use permit for a private well and septic for that property. So there is currently an existing single-family home on that lot that has been vacant for several years. We estimate 10 to 12 years that it's been vacant. So it has lost kind of the grandfathering per se. So the request for that private well and septic would be to rehab that home. Staff has reviewed it, and the request is not in conformance with the city's comprehensive land use plan and would prevent further orderly development of the area. So the resolution 1944 that's included in your packet would be a resolution for denial of their request. I'd be happy to answer questions. There was the public hearing last night as well. Planning Commission did recommend denial of the CUP. There was a couple people that were here to comment. I know the applicant was here, the owner was here, and then the realtor representing the bank as well.
Are there any questions for Marie?
I don't have any, I'm just wondering if they do.
The staff is recommending to approve Resolution 1944, which would deny the CUP.
I will make that motion. Resolution 1944.
I'll second it. Oh, go ahead, Rick.
She speaks. Give her the second.
I spoke. I'll second it.
All right. Motion from Mike, second from Becky
And we did have a lengthy discussion on this at the.
at the planning. Okay. All right. Any other discussion on that? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, carried.
Thank you.
Thank you, Marie. Administrator and staff reports. 2019 Business Park Expansion Bid Award. Mr. Sabar.
Good evening. Last week, the city opened bids for the 2019 Business Park Expansion Project. If the council recalls, that is the frontage road improvement and utility improvements along the east side of the Northern Meadows development, which would wrap up and connect to County Road 8. The city received 6 bids. The low bid was submitted by R.L. Larson Excavating out of St. Cloud, Minnesota. Their low bid is $5,784,233.81. That came in below the engineer's estimate for the project as well, and so we're recommending award of that construction contract to R.L. Larson. So the
That's a
resolution.
good number.
I'm sorry?
That's a good number.
Yes, we were pleasantly surprised. We knew there was quite a bit of interest. Actually, we had, I think it was 23 plan holders that were interested in a prime, or bidding on a prime basis. So when you have a lot of plan holders, that many, we knew there was a lot of interest. So aside from the size of the project, what's attractive to contractors is it's in sand, and so this is a type of work that can go into the later end of the season. If we get rains, the sites are more tolerable of inclement weather. Plus, this project work carries over into next year, so it helps ensure workload next year. So it garnered quite a bit of interest, and we believe you got a very competitive bid as a result of that. So our recommendation is to award to R.L. Larson. They have performed work in Becker before, so they have a satisfactory work history and the capabilities to do this type of project.
Randy, I have the utmost confidence in the R.L. Larson and their bid process, but I have to be able to justify how our estimators were at about 7 million and this is coming in just shy of 6. Was this?
So when you take a look at it, actually, from our perspective, when we look at estimates, look at the range of estimates. So now the high bid, if you look at the 6th high bidder, 7.9 million. So what we hope when we put together an estimate, for example, is that you see a cross-section of bids and that the engineer's estimate is somewhere in the middle. So you have some bids that are lower than the engineer's estimate, some bids that are higher, and that's what you have here. So your high bid is above the engineer's estimate. How a bidder looks at certain items can differ from the way we see it from an engineering perspective. A case in point would be temporary utilities, providing temporary water. You'll notice several of the bidders bid that at a penny. We know it costs more than a penny to provide that. They're accounting for it someplace different in their operation or in their bid. Mobilization is another one that you'll see some wide variety. I think if I was going to pick one item that there was the biggest difference from our estimate and where the bidding community saw it was the main pump station. When we look at smaller pump stations that have been built in central Minnesota, we have smaller pump stations that are rivaling the price that was bid for what is a rather large station. So we certainly did not expect to see the pump station come in at 600,000. We would have expected much higher. So that one item probably accounts for about $500,000 difference in how we were estimating it versus how the contractors were bidding it. So to your point, Tracy, I think if all of the bids were well higher than the engineer's estimate, then it might create some question. But in this particular case, we have a cross section of some higher, some right in the middle, and then obviously the low. We consider that to be a good cross section of bids.
And like you said, they've done work in the city before, and they've always done good work.
I can tell you after the bid opening, they called me and said, geez, we wonder what we missed.
Nothing.
Contractors get frustrated by losing bids by a couple $1,000s, but then they second guess themselves when there's several $100,000 between them and the next low bidder. So they were questioning themselves where there might be differences, but we have not been. R.L. Larson has not reached out to us to say, hey, we made a material error in our bid. We'd like to retract our bid. That hasn't occurred.
We're in their backyard though too. You know, some of these guys could be coming all the way across the cities to give us service, you know.
The other issue that comes into play, particularly with fall work, A lot of contractors have a very busy spring schedule, midsummer, and by the time we get into the September, October, November, crews start to free up. And so I do know in this particular case, they had crews freeing up this fall, and so contractors are looking to fill a schedule. And some may be more aggressive than others on their pricing.
Well, they want to keep their guys working as long as they can, I'm sure.
And this project will start almost immediately.
Yes, so after, assuming the council awards the contract this evening, we'll issue contracts tomorrow. They recognize we have a very aggressive schedule for work this fall to deliver even temporary utilities to Northern Metals. So they're already going to be taking accelerated steps to get the work going in the field.
Any other questions for Randy? Otherwise, I'll entertain a motion.
Make a motion to approve Resolution 1945, awarding the contract for the 2019 Business Park expansion.
Second.
Motion from Rick, second from Troy. Any other discussion or questions? Hearing none, those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, carried. Thank you, Randy.
Very good. Thank you.
Consent agenda.
And Mayor, City Council, please take note, we have a revised consent agenda this evening. Item number 1 is a hiring report form for the Becker Community Center. Item number 2 is a hiring report form for Pebble Creek Golf Club, and that is the revision. A letter of support for submitting a Teddy Grant, Transportation Economic Development Infrastructure Grant, that is. And then item number 4 is accepting donations, and that's Resolution 19-46. And that is from Country Financial in Becker, and that is for police department equipment. So I can try to answer questions, otherwise a motion to approve the consent agenda for July 13th, 2019 would be appreciated.
Make a motion, we approve the consent agenda of July 30th, 2019.
Second.
Motion from Mike, second from Troy. Any other discussion?
That was Rick.
Oh, Rick, sorry. Mike and then Rick. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, carried. Payment of the bills.
Motion to pay the bills.
Second it.
Motion from Rick, second from Troy.
Troy, yep.
Yep, got it. Any discussion? Hearing none, those in favor say aye.
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 Opposed, carried. Anniversary announcements for the month of August. Josh Kua, Recreation and Leisure Supervisor Assistant Director, will be completing his first year in August.
You're already, huh? Wow. My, how time goes by.
Trevor Wolseth, the police officer, will be celebrating his second anniversary with us. And Mark Walters is a maintenance worker at Public Works, and he'll be celebrating 15 years. So congratulations to those. And does council have anything else for the betterment of Becker? If not, I'll ask for a motion to adjourn.
I move we adjourn.
Second.
Motion from Mike, second from Rick. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, carried. We are adjourned at 6:07.